Exactly. Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and we are live. This is CJ, and excited to be joining with Gus Demos for another edition of Cuss with Gus. Yes, it is Friday. It's a day late. I kind of like Friday afternoons because Gus, if we move this a little bit later in the day, it captures my happy hour time. And yet, after the show, you'll be ready to hit it as well, right? I mean,
well, even during the show, most of the time. Yes. Yeah, if we weren't rolling out new products, and if I wasn't on my health cleanse this month to try to get the cholesterol back to normal, then yes, there's a good chance Friday around this time I would definitely be at least three or four drinks in.
There you go. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, dude. So not to go that direction right away, but yeah, I think I've had like one fucking bourbon and like 23 days. And it was to celebrate when I sent you and V the voicemail about not having HIV from my doctor.
I love that voicemail.
Isn't it the greatest fucking voicemail ever?
Awesome.
I'm gonna start fucking playing that on first dates. Like, honey, before you look at the fucking appetizer, you should listen to this.
Yes.
Yeah. And the doctor was so funny. He's like, Mr. Demos, this is Dr. Moy. Your HIV test came back negative. Let me repeat, you do not have HIV. Let me repeat, you do not have HIV. Have a good weekend. And I was like, oh, and I listened to it. I was like at the gym. I was, and then I listened to that. I'm like, all right, fuck. All right. I mean, I got to have one bourbon to celebrate.
Yeah, that could almost be like a disclaimer, right? Before you go through, hey, let me play you this disclaimer real quick.
Dude, yeah. In the back of my mind, it's always like the cancer and HIV thing that had me worried. Everything else, I think I like, toughen through or whatever, but the cancer and HIV thing have always terrified me. But yeah, so in 23 days, one bourbon, and I've been eating almost like perfectly and exercising my balls off. So I'm down like 17 pounds. And
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it is. And the key, I think I want to get it to like keep this up for another like 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then try to get back to being kind of normal. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need to go back to utter hedonism for 6 months, but yes, going out once or twice a week is pretty fun. I mean, I do enjoy that quite a bit.
That's a hard cut. That's a hard cut to make, as far as like, I'm not sure how long that you've been not like, as far as eating healthy.
23 days. Like, dude, I haven't went to a bar, haven't went on a date, haven't had a cocktail. Like, I haven't even had any poontang. Like, it's been like, it's been Rocky. Yeah. It's like Rocky Balboa type training. Like, it's been exercise, vegetables, sobriety, but it's worked. I mean, so I feel fucking great. I feel energetic. I feel wonderful. So
if I didn't know any better, I'd be thinking you're trying to get like into priesthood or something, or trying
it's quite the contrary. I hadn't been to the doctor in like 5 years. So it was, I procrastinated it almost because, again, part of it, I think, is fear of not wanting to know if something's wrong. But when the doctor is like, dude, again, he got to come to Jesus with me, and he's like, yeah, you lift weights and you're in good shape, but there's like your cholesterol is like double what it should be, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, all right, it's the truth is I've had a good time the last 6 months, and I do have a OCD type personality and addictive personality in one direction or the other. And so if I break from like a productive, healthy routine, and I go down the rabbit hole of chasing women and getting drunk all the time, then it could spiral. Before you know it, like, you blink your eyes and you've been doing it for 4 months. Like, yeah. And it's, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy doing it, but you feel like shit. I mean, it's hard to be on the phone with clients for 10 hours a day and run 5 miles if you're hungover. So yeah, but that being said, I am a big fan of moderation. So yes, I'm treating this as like a 4-week or cleanse or whatever, and then I'll tone it back to, okay, I need a few cocktails here. It is Friday happy hour. I could have a few bourbons.
Those are huge adjustments. My adjustments would look more like this, Gus. That, you know what, I'm going to pour a little bit less of Coke in my Jack. Maybe straight Jack and no Coke at all. If I go for wings, I'm going to have the wings, and maybe not the French fries with cheese, just the French fries. Dude, that's a hard cut, bro. That's awesome,
amigo. My greatest. I'm not an alcoholic, but I am a binge drinker, like, knowingly. So My issue is that some dudes have a gift of being able to have like one cocktail a night, like a bourbon before bed or after work, whatever, and then call it a day. I unfortunately don't have that gift. My my tendency is to put down 8 to 10 per sitting. So yeah, I mean, I have one or two and I'm feeling good, and I'm like, you know what, I could probably put and I'll just keep. And before I know it, I've had 10 cocktails, and it's a Tuesday. So I don't have to drink every day, but when I do crack open, and have a bourbon or a bloody or whatever, I could fucking keep going, domino effect, pretty rapidly.
Yeah, you're shifting out from the work hard, play hard, not feel so well, to the work hard, play hard, and still feel good about it. So
yes,
that's good. That's good.
That's where I want to get to. I want to get to a place where, all right, I'm going to treat myself once or twice a week to, all right, and control it. Just like you said, have 3-4 cocktails and call it a day.
Well,
and again,
that's good.
I'm not married with kids, so there's no one supervising my juvenile behavior. There's no one to tell me dude, you're blacked out drunk trying to go streaking on a Thursday. What are you doing? Like, so yeah, I have no one, no influential responsibilities outside of business, which again, it's not making excuses, but it doesn't help matters much.
Well, it's perfect timing for the clarity, because it sounds like Perpetual Assets, yourself and Will, are jumping into some new services, some new offerings for your clients. So I think that's awesome. I know last week we talked about, you want to give an update?
Yeah, we're there. We're offering it to people who we're going to be rolling out and providing crypto to people. The big, starting off with the big three, BTC, LTC, and Ethereum. We're starting off to clients, LLC IRA clients who've been hot on our tails, requesting it, that have had struggles logging on and creating an exchange account. So we're good to go. We're green light. We're executing transactions, but we want to do it on a really small scale. It is a total shit show, getting up to speed on AML, FinCEN regulation, AML regulation, know your customer regulation, being compliant, all of it. But you have to fucking do it. The bottom line is, if you are a U.S. company, you have to play by U.S. rules if you are a U.S. company. So it was a strenuous fucking process to get through it all, but we did. And there are still shit we're trying to work through, contractually, and making sure you're compliant. The issue is everything's changing so quickly. It's hard to, it doesn't even matter if you go to New York or San Francisco. It's hard to find great lawyers and accountants and people who are, completely experts in the compliant aspect of the space. And if the last 5 years has taught us everything, the U.S. government loves entrapment. They love sending in agents and moles to make it seem like you're selling cryptos to bin Laden. They are really big on that. All these people, the majority of these people who have been pinched or busted and being, as money launderers or whatever, it's a government agent. He'll come in there and they'll conduct a future. So we've always held a firm position that we treat every fucking phone call like it's a government agent, every person like they're a government agent, because you have to be that way. The last thing you want to do is, give them a green light for a SWAT team to kick your fucking door down. So better to be safe than sorry. You can't fuck with these people. They have a monopoly on force. So a lot of it has been an uphill struggle trying to make sure all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, etc. Compliance.
Yeah. So, like, for example, if someone has their IRA, existing self-directed IRA with you currently with Perpetual Assets, if they use some of those funds to purchase crypto, is that treated like a withdrawal or?
No. That's just the LLC. The LLC. Our advantage to doing this is we already know where the funds are coming from, and we already know the clients. So where a lot of these other people have had struggles the last 5 years is they're taking strangers off the streets. You have no fucking idea who you're dealing with. You don't know anything about them. We are dealing with retirement accounts. The capital, the money is already in the system. The U.S. government knows exactly where it is and exactly where it came from. We're not Bin Laden doesn't have a fucking IRA. Well, it's true. They can't play that. They can't play that bullshit game with us. Like, hey, I'm Jimmy and I'm trying to hide $1 million. No, you're not fucking Jimmy. We did your retirement account. We know. I mean, so retirement accounts in the U.S. are all on grid. There's no money laundering taking fucking place. It's harder for them to make that claim. So even with the know your customer laws, the KYC shit and the anti-money laundering shit, we have all of the client data up front already. We created the LLC, so we generated the EIN. We registered the state. We handled the IRS. We know the client's social security number. We have everything on the client from the retirement account. The money is totally on grid and above board. So the government, it's a lot harder for the government to try to pull any shit or make an argument with this is for fucking nefarious reasons. No, it's not. It's fucking, I mean, it's an IRA. It's on grid capital. You're aware of it. There's a valuation. There's an administrator. There's a trustee. So that's the benefit of it. So we have enough client data on the front end to make the process a lot easier. So the disconnect, it was a twofold thing. We were handing off clients after they signed up for the LLC IRA. We were handing the clients off and saying, okay, go set up an exchange account now. You can pick whatever exchange you want. It's completely voluntary. It's up to you which exchange you choose for the LLC. The problem was that threefold, actually. The compliance constantly changing. So all the know your customer shit that we already went through with the client and already had all the data, the client had to start over with the exchange. So the exchange is treating the client as a fucking stranger, doesn't have any of their data, so they have to go through the verification process again. Number two, the rush to cryptos the last 18 months has been ridiculous. So there's massive bottlenecks at these exchanges. Too many new users trying to sign up at once. And number three is they ramp up the capital. So retirement accounts typically aren't $100 transactions or $1,000 transactions. They might be 10 grand or 50 grand or $250,000. So a lot of these exchanges make you earn your way up to that. Like you have to, your account is open. You could buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. Clients like, what? Like, so those three things were deterring clients from the ability in an expedited nature, in a timely manner, to actually execute the trade. So that's what galvanized us to do it. And obviously it's fucking profitable too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And before, because I had another question as we were going through that, but I want to save that because what's the timeline for your clients? You have like
it's almost a 48-hour turnaround. So the client wires us the money. Then we that's same business day. Wire comes in, and then once the client fills out the onboarding form, the user agreement, wires us the capital. And then the next day, with a trader on the phone or Will or me on the phone, we execute the trade live with the client on the phone. The client has the crypto the next fucking day. So wire day one, trade and lock in day two, sent to client day three. It's literally, and the amount is almost irrelevant within reason. So it's a really fast turnaround. That's what the clients have been asking for. So hence us pushing a fucking boulder up a hill to get all these tiered up to have this ability to be able to do all this shit. The main obstacle, like most businesses, is the fucking regulation. All the compliance, all the licensing, all this. It's like, all right. But again, it was, so be it. You again, if you want to do business in the U.S., you have to play by their fucking rules. It's just that fucking simple.
Yeah, which brings me, the question I was thinking of is that, here recently in the crypto space, we've been watching a lot of either compliance, regulations, this and that. And there's, two camps. A lot of people are like, well, we don't want them to comply. We want them because, the why cryptos were created. But then the other school is, hey, listen, we have to do this because of of the regs. And when you think of crypto,
have you ever seen the banking on Bitcoin?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, even during like the early days of FinCEN and the New York Financial Crimes Unit, you had like the Winklehouse fucking boys,
right?
Pushing for compliance and regulation, and then you had the libertarians saying "fuck that." See, and it's easy to understand why. The Winklehouses have the Facebook money and they have old fucking money. So in their mind, the more capital it takes to get to set up an exchange or whatever, the easier they could drive out the startups and the ones that don't have their deep pockets.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm one of them from a strategical standpoint, those guys, the old money guys, are probably like, yeah, if we make enough regulation, if we make enough capital requirements, we could push the little guys out and we could monopolize this bitch, at least in the short term. And the little guys are all like, fuck this bullshit. Like, why is there so much regulation? It's how do you want me to, for a startup, I have to have legal fees and blah, 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 blah. So my theory on it is that it doesn't matter what I want. I have to acknowledge reality. Mm-hmm. So I would always prefer the libertarian wild west, but that's not where we are in 2018. In 2018, it's they want fucking mine and Will's DNA samples. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's do I wish it was a different way, more laissez-faire? Of fucking course I do. Is it? No. And we have to abide by them. Now the exchanges won't even let you on unless you're totally compliant with all the rules. It's just that simple. So if you want to set up an institutional account, doesn't matter which exchange you're going to domestically, it's you have to be compliant as fuck, and you have to get the licensing and KYC shit and AML, blah blah blah. The issue, and I've known this for a while, but it's not until I dove in, where the government is all over your ass. It doesn't matter if you're a business or an individual, and this is what, actually, I think they've actually changed this last year, is fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat. When you go currency to digital currency or digital currency to what currency, that's where they're all over your ass, because they want to know your buy price and your sell price. They want their pound of flesh, as Shakespeare said. So they sell it as money laundering. From my standpoint, no, they just want to make sure they can tax the shit out of it or confiscate it or whatever. So that money laundering is a great sales pitch. Like, yeah, everyone is Pablo Escobar, dude. Like, bullshit. Like, no, it's about taxation. So I know why they're doing it, and I love how they're selling it. It's laughable if you acknowledge what's really the fucking going on. Where it's gotten interesting is they've tried to change it, and we won't be dealing in this, so it doesn't affect me really. But they're trying to change it to acknowledge taxes from crypto to crypto too, and that's where they're gonna have a lot of problems monitoring and enforcing and all of that. That's very difficult, because after you get into the crypto space, you could go to offshore foreign exchanges for crypto to crypto. Again, the difficulty is in fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat. That's when you have to involve U.S. banks and wires and ACHs and all that shit. Once you get into crypto to crypto, people can go to fucking exchange out of fucking wherever in the world. So the government's gonna have a hard time, but I think they're trying. They're trying to say you have to recognize. That's another thing. Try shopping for a crypto tax attorney. It's a fucking nightmare, because the regulations are constantly fucking changing, and that's the problem. It's not. The danger is for a lot of people in the space is they might have the best intentions, and that the government is trying to might change the rule before, like, someone could be going trading cryptos the last 2 years, and the government issues a new thing, and I mean, how's the person supposed to know that? Like, is a public service announcement made? Like, it's like the onus falls on you to constantly stay abreast of the changes. So yeah, it's crazy, dude. But again, it's the juice is worth the squeeze. We're up and running, and we're good to go. So
right. Yep.
we're
Awesome.
excited about it.
That's great stuff. Yeah, and there's enough players out there, whether it's an exchange, whether it's a potential token. There and people are going to. So like when you look like a massive, a big organization like Coinbase, because they're basically complying with all them. They're taking a lot of heat. Hey, they're selling out and all that kind of stuff. If you don't want to use Coinbase, there's other alternatives. So it's not like, hey, they're the only place to go. So I think there's plenty of space in this for a lot of different people to get involved. The excitement that's generated with it, but at the same time, and
I think that's so. When having gone through all this shit the last three months, we've ignored a lot of the ICO language because it doesn't apply to us. We have nothing to do with that. So me and Will didn't really have to dive into studying about that but I mean, just thinking out loud for a minute, that's a lot of the ICOs were trying to avoid the regulation and compliance and all that bullshit, and that's why they were accepting tokens instead of dollars to get started. So the attack the last year, 6 months, has really been on ICOs for that reason, which goes back to the earlier part of the conversation. It's crypto to crypto that they're trying to figure out how to keep tabs on now. And because fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat, for the longest time, you knew they were just going to go after the bottlenecks. Okay, you could the banking is where they catch you, the wires, the money exchange, that's where they're hammering down. That's where the compliance is going to come down. That's where the agencies are going to come down. But
people are creating a token, a coin for everything now, right? I mean, there's just so there's associated risk with anything and everything that you do. So if someone chooses to follow that line where, hey, I'm going to do a tokenization of this, however, I am going to go through the regulations. I'm going to go through this because that's I guess buyer beware. So if you have funds that you're investing or you're doing different things with, make sure that you understand that before you go. And I can't understand why we're still here, reading about all these hacks. I guess there was one the other day where another account was, millions of dollars were taken from another account. It's just like, okay, is this real? Is this inside jobs that are happening? How is this happening? I mean, just craziness.
Well, I don't, and that's another thing. You don't, how do you know if it's an inside job or not, right? And you want to give people the benefit of the doubt and this and that, but I mean, aren't they still trying to figure out where the Mount Gox coins went, for fucking Christ's sakes? Like,
I think they're finally just yep.
Where did they go? I don't know. Did they discover that finally?
I think at one point, weren't they in? Bix would know about that. I think Bix has been. Are they rolling those coins back out? They're doing something with it. I think I missed that period where they were going through it. But yeah, that's a great example. Oh no, I know that wasn't the Mount Gox. The other issue was confiscated crypto and how they were purposely releasing it at a certain time to.
Yeah. I'm not even talking about manipulation. I'm just talking about the claim that a lot of these places have that, we were hacked. Like, according to you were hacked. How do I know you didn't fucking? I don't know you just didn't steal client funds. Like, it's again, we were hacked. Like, I mean, prove it. So it's a tough space. I mean, everyone saw the money that came in 2017, and it was a very exciting year, obviously. But there are landmines, not only from a regulatory and the state, but from nefarious actors out there in the space who have nothing to do with government, who are just there. A lot of, shockingly, where there is capital, there's going to be fraud too. So it's buyer beware indeed. Make sure you know what the fuck you're doing. Make sure I've heard so many nightmare stories about people's shit just vanishing from an exchange wallet. And it's like, dude, I mean, what are you going to do? How well do you know I mean, again, I'm paranoid by nature, so I would advise others to do the same. And I don't benefit from giving you that advice, but acknowledge the fact the reason you own a lot of these asset classes isn't only on the speculation on the upside. it's to eliminate counterparty risk. So the counterparty risk, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. It could be at the bank, could be the exchange, could be whatever. Again, a lot of people own metal, so they could put it under their pillows. Well, guess what? You could do the same thing with cryptos. So it's an exciting space, but with excitement comes some accountability to the user to actually know what the fuck they're doing. And
yeah, I'm excited about it for the space that I'm in, and doing the startup that we just launched, because half our sales, like at the beginning, were crypto based. So it was pretty neat to see cryptocurrency coming in for a form of payments.
Did you guys get a third party payment processor, or you just list a public address?
Well, it actually came from it actually came from Tokenly. So it was Tokenly Market, which is Adam Levin's thing, not the performer, but we interviewed Adam, and I learned about Tokenly and his marketplace that he created, where you can create an online shop and then accept crypto and go into wallets and everything. And it's a beautiful system. It's sleek. It works great. And so we launched our e-commerce platform on Tokenly first.
Wow.
And by the time, and here's the neat thing, Gus, is that because it's CBD and it's still federally illegal and all this stuff, like going through the banks and getting a merchant account for this space, it was freaking ridiculous amount of time that I spent on it. So you had people that were wanting to charge as much as like 7.95%, 35 cents per transactions, hold 5% of your funds, and not pay you for 30 days into your bank account. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I'm at the point now where I'm like, you know what, maybe we should be giving just a permanent discount to people who pay with crypto, because then we don't have to do with all that merchant, Visa debit bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you do. There used to be no transaction fees. Now it's what is it, 1% for like a BitPay, for example.
Yeah, it varies.
Yeah. They're and what are you guys paying for credit cards? Like 3% roughly, 3.5%.
I think we landed at 4.5. Yeah. Because, yeah.
So to your point, another issue, and this holds true for both the marijuana shit and the crypto shit, is you have to deal with the feds, and you have to deal with the states. So again, isn't that kind of what's happening with a lot of the Colorado shit? Like, they can't even get fucking bank accounts for a lot of these businesses.
They were unbankable for a long time, as far as and now, so yes, it was pretty much a cash industry, which is ridiculous, because you would think, as much as I hate the banks, I worry more about the safety of the dispensary owners and stuff like that. I mean, who wants to be carrying 150, 200 grand cash inside your business, right? Nobody wants to be doing that type of business.
Well, and if the rules, laws, and regulations are conflicting, which do you abide by? That's another area of concern, regardless of what business you're talking about. If the state of Colorado has one law and the feds have another, I mean, which and again, they're conflicting laws. Which are you supposed to follow? I don't fucking know. Again, and I think there might be more marijuana specialized lawyers now than crypto specialized.
There may be, because it's grown by leaps and bounds. But the unique thing is, the very cool thing is that a lot of local banks and credit unions have really stepped up to the plate to start doing 420 friendly bank accounts, merchant accounts. They're adapting quicker than your bigger conglomerates, your JP Morgan Chase, your whatever other else, Wells Fargo, your large banks. So the local banks and the credit unions are coming to the rescue in that space. And here's another thing, Gus, is like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I just thought of this, was that, did you see where the Supreme Court came out and ruled in favor of the states regarding online sales tax? So there, for a long time, merchants would state that if I do not have a operating footprint, then my online sales tax, I shouldn't have to pay if I'm sending to a different state and everything else. And I believe the Supreme Court came out and said, regardless, if you don't operate within that state or whatever, if you do commerce, you have to pay sales tax. I'm like, how does that make any sense? I mean, it's just anything and everything they can to taxes is just ridiculous right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised with that too. I was actually surprised with the ruling, and it's even more disturbing that's been underly reported. That's a big fucking deal. Not only for merchants but for consumers. And yeah, you're right. It's usually the brick and mortar location in state was sales tax. Anything out was no sales tax. Dude, again, man, they want their pound of flesh. It's not fucking complicated. It doesn't matter, and so it doesn't matter which state I look at or the feds or whatever. Everyone wants their pound of flesh. So yeah, that's a big ruling, and most you wonder why not only for convenience, businesses migrated to e-commerce, which is great. It's given an opportunity, like what you guys are doing, what we're doing, to be for people to start their own companies and compete with bigger players out there. And some, I think. Do you think a lot of this has to do with Amazon? It's focused around Amazon?
Yeah, I imagine it does. I think that they're seeing depleted state revenue, right? So, I know like in the state that I live, it's crazy enough, but they're considering adding tolls like to the interstate, as if a road tax and a vehicle tax wasn't enough. Now they need to add tolls. So I guarantee you this has everything to do with the decline of brick and mortar the last several years, Gus. That's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, but then you're hurting the online retailers, and you don't get to see them like you do when you walk through a department store, but they do employ people. Like they have shippers, they have customer service reps, they have this, they have that. So it's like pick your poison. Just because the economy has significantly shifted to an online marketplace doesn't mean the online marketplace isn't employing shitloads of people.
So I'm not sure if you can see it on your screen, Gus, but I just brought it up, the ruling. So Supreme Court widens reach of sales tax for online retailers. The Supreme Court on Thursday moved to close that loophole, ruling that internet retailers can be required to collect taxes even in states where they have no physical presence. The decision in South Dakota versus Wayfair Incorporated was a victory for brick and mortar businesses that have long complained that they are put at a disadvantage by having to charge sales taxes, while many online competitors do not. State and local, yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. One, how are they going to monitor this? How are they going to follow this? So I guess our online retailers now going to have to like monitor each state and file state tax reporting in every state. That's gonna. I mean, I don't know. That's pretty stupid if you ask me.
A lot of them are already doing it during the checkout process. The sales tax is calculated at the time of shipping. So if you go to your cart and you're checking out, you put in your billing address, and then once you put in your shipping address, the sales tax is calculated. The issue with that, it's not an issue at all. It's you are creating a fucking nightmare for the merchant. Meaning, so I've calculated all these different sales taxes. So do I have to mail checks now to all 50 states at the end of the year and fill out 50 forms? So you're basically saying you have to speak to each individual state and deal with dude. I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be a shit show unless they have one universal umbrella that's gonna cover it. Oh, no, that doesn't make any sense because then it'd be a federal. I don't know how they're gonna execute it.
They're going to create a new internet sales tax that they collect on the national level and then they disperse. I don't know. I don't even start that because someone's going to take that.
Like most bureaucratic bullshit. They come up with this thing and then it takes them 3 years to build a healthcare website for $13 billion or whatever. So I don't know how they're going to execute this. So the sales tax, the merchants are going to owe this each state sales tax. So does that mean instead of the merchant having to deal with one state, they have to deal with all 50 now? I mean, dude, this is fucking hilarious about government. It's like, all right, dude, thank you for sucking up just stealing 2 weeks of my life with bullshit administrative stuff. Just on a whim. It's like, okay, dude, they're incredible. They're incredible. But again, nothing shocks me anymore, dude.
No, I'm right there with you. Nothing shocks me. It's just another day in our make believe paradise, but
our make believe utopia.
The other thing I want to ask you about though was capturing national attention than the battle for the narrative was the immigration and separating kids from hopefully their parents, if not human smugglers and coyotes and traffickers. But I loved how Melania trolled trolled everyone, and she really triggered them by wearing the jacket that said, "I really don't care." Did you see that?
I saw the jacket, but I wasn't sure. I don't know what the fuck the woman wears. I mean, was that in response to like the media and shit attacking her? Did she say, "I don't care"? Do you like, or was I don't? Was that a statement or was it just an outfit? I have no fucking idea. I know they're treating her like fucking Attila the Hun because of it. Like they're attacking her like she's the most evil woman to ever live. But that's just par for the course.
This really, it captured, national attention like all week. And I think it was obviously the media's attention just flipped the narrative. And I know a lot of our listeners like, it's a distraction. And I'm right there with you. I completely agree. I wasn't quite happy that they caved and said, we're going to change things. And primarily for several different reasons. One is verifying that, who are these adults with these kids? Are they truly? And as a Latino with parents that came to this country legally and seeing that now we're treating criminals differently because, again, I know open borders and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are like, we shouldn't have borders and all that. I get that. But right now we don't. But what I do have a problem with is that now you're saying that if you violate, certain laws, that they're not going to take kids away from you. So does that mean we should go ahead and to eliminate child protective services?
What it means is I'm gonna borrow my two nephews from my brother, and I'm gonna go rob a bank with them, and then they're gonna just let me go because I have kids with me.
Did we just greenlight kidnapping of kids in Mexico to try to get across the border? Did we just greenlight that?
Dude, listen. This is the oldest libertarian argument ever. Should there be?
Borders, right?
Yeah, yeah, and my position has always been you can't let anyone in if you have a welfare state. It's just that simple. If you add a new fucking amendment to the Bill of Rights and revise the Constitution and promise there'll never be an income tax, there will never be welfare, there will never be entitlements, then let everyone in. I don't give a fuck. But you can't steal my money by force every year. Already, where my money goes, I can't control and I don't have a say in. And most of the people that get it tell me I should hate myself and my father every year. So as I'm hearing these people bitch as they're taking 50-60% of my money, you cannot have a welfare state and a high income tax and open borders. It's one or the other. So eliminate taking people's money and let everyone in, or stop letting people in and keep taking my money for now or until we get on the same page about that. But that's the disconnect between a lot of libertarians and anarchists that they internally that they find themselves debating.
Well, but what do you do, Gus, if you create a Liberland or you create some type of free open society, no borders, and then there's a group of people that do want government, that do want to collect taxes, that start evading and moving in and coming in droves? Well, how do those same people feel about it that way? Then reverse it.
I too am the son of immigrants, dude. But the issue, my solution, and I think it's universally objectively fair, and I wish more Republicans, libertarians, conservatives would go on and offer this as a rebuttal and say immigration should be merit based, meaning that you have to bring some. If you want to come in, you got to bring something to the party. It either has to be capital or a really sought after vocation, or you own a company there or something. Like that's how it is in Hong Kong. That's how it is in Switzerland. That's how it is in Singapore. You can't show up in Singapore and say, "Hey, I'm a basement dwelling liberal and a professional protester. Let me in." No, yeah, they're going to say, all right, you got to bring $250,000 to the country, or you have to start a company and hire 2 people with at least $100K, or you're an engineer, come on in. You're a doctor, come on in. You're a mathematician, come on in. So I don't give a fuck about your religion. I don't give a fuck about your gender. I don't give a fuck about your race. Bring something to the party, or it's just that simple. And they can't say bigot that way, because I don't give a fuck if you're a Muslim Kenyan tranny. If you're an engineer, come on in. Like if you're bringing $500,000 with you, come on in. Like, so if you make it merit-based, and the reason why is because the likelihood of those people diving into the welfare state is minimal. You're not going to have someone that owns a company and hires 4 people coming in and getting food stamps. It's just that fucking simple. Like, and again, they want to make it about everyone's a Nazi and all that bullshit. But really, it's just about the balance sheet. It's about taxes and the balance sheet and entitlements. The Republicans don't want more people coming. It's about votes too. I mean, that's the primary thing. The Democrats are trying to change the voting demographic. They don't. You know what was a glaring thing for me, dude? The Obama started rejecting Cubans trying to sneak in towards the end of his presidency. So Cubans were trying to come in, and Obama. And what do you notice about Florida? Florida votes Republican. Cubans, and see, this is the Democrats, the clever trick they try playing on people. It's about bigotry, it's about racism, it's about this. No. You know what it's about? It's about ideology. Cubans hate communism.
Yeah.
So when
they lived it, they knew what it's like.
If you ask me, if you want me to throw out objectivity and logic, I would say the U.S. needs more Venezuelans and more Cubans because they've got a taste of socialist bullshit and they're going to vote our direction. So if you really want to play the voting game, if I want to play the Democrat game, I would love to get on with Matt and be like, my only prerequisite, I don't give a shit where they're coming from and what they look like or what they do, as long as they vote Republican, let them in. Like, as long as if they've suffered in a communist shithole for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, let them in, because they know what a con artist bitch you are. That'd be my only prerequisite. But that'd be me playing the Democratic game. Like me, that's all they're trying to do. They want to flood people in with a majority that they know are going to vote for them. Just that's ideology.
So here's my take on why Melania wore that, specifically that jacket. And of course, like stupidity, instead of just admitting certain things. And I think that's where, I'm so happy that things are changing in the right direction and everything. But what I'm not happy about is the attempt of a alternative candidate who gets elected and now trying to becoming a politician while in office. And I think Melania is kind of like you and I, Gus. I think that she's like, you know what? I'm a foreign citizen. These kids that are coming in, I really don't give a rat's ass. And because there's so much media pressure and everything else, and I'm being forced now to leave Barron and leave the family and go to Texas and have this little roundtable discussion, I'm going to wear this freaking fucking jacket and no one's going to say anything. I'm going to wear it anyway. And so I think this was kind of like her protest of, you know what? I'm not happy playing politician. I'll do it because I guess I get that. But you know what? I really don't care. So good for her. I'm glad she did this. I truly am. That's my take.
Dude, she might be just fucking trolling them. I don't know. And good on her if she is. Maybe,
because I had a cousin that came to the States, and she came legally and she was here and tried getting a visa and extending and everything out, and she didn't. Did she like stay here illegally or anything? No, she did the right thing and went back back to family in Mexico and waited for her 6 months, and I have several other family members in Mexico that are working hard there, trying to make a difference. They're not at the border. They're not trying to sneak across and get across illegally or
my mom's side of the family. So my mom has 9 siblings, and the old man died. My grandfather, who I never met, he died before I was born. He died, and they were all ages 4 to 20 or something. So there were 9 fucking siblings. And so they were living in such a state of poverty in Greece. This is Greece in the 70s when the old man died, my grandfather, that they couldn't all exodus. The siblings slowly started leaving, but they migrated. 2 of them are still there, but the majority of them went to Australia. 3 of them ended up in the U.S. So I think there's 4 in Australia, 2 or 3 in Greece, and 3 in the U.S. Anyway, Yeah, the whole family couldn't just show up in Australia, and the whole family, all three siblings, didn't just show up in the U.S. My uncle got here first. My mom came like 3 years later. Then my final uncle got here like fucking 5 years after that. So it wasn't. They had to go through the process. Would they have loved to just jump in a fucking boat and sneak in? Sure, but like people follow fucking rules. Like I don't want to get booted. Like I guess I'll fill out this paperwork. So yeah, these people have just run out of things to bitch about. It's like this. We've always had immigration policy. My family experienced it. Many others have too. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like I don't want to. The fact that they think that you could just hoard people in and give them driver's licenses the next week. It's like, dude, it has nothing to do with empathy or sympathy, and has everything to do with power. They're trying to change the fucking demographic. It's just that fucking simple.
Yeah, you nailed it. You're exactly right, and I completely agree the same way. Not only that, I think that the controllers understand that. I mean, look how much we're taxed and overtaxed as a society, and look how much we still overspend, right? So if people don't understand that, not only I think the voting part of it's definitely one part of it, but I think on the larger scale, that I think that they're looking at it on a taxation basis, that the more people that they can bring in, that they're hoping to increase the tax revenue to the federal government, because that's all they can think of is how do we bring in more tax dollars to try to prop up the system.
That's possible too. What makes me very skeptical of all these policies, or the whole leftist push the last 10 years, especially actually it's been ramped up significantly the last 5 years, towards immigration, is that the leftists are all on the same page, and they're on both sides of the Atlantic. The EU and the US have went, for some reason. This was never talked about 10 years ago, like 20 years ago. But for some reason, like 5 years ago or so, the US and fucking EU decided to start flooding in fucking migrants. I don't know when, I don't know why, I don't know how it started, I don't know when people started noticing it, but it seems like this conversation didn't come up 10 years ago. So it seems like there's been we often joke about when you hear like a liberal talking point, like from 13 different sources in an hour, and they're all saying the same 2 or 3 sentences. It's like so scripted, and it's almost like the liberals have like this conference call that they have. It's fucking weird. It's very weird. And yes, it doesn't matter if it's people from poor countries will go to rich countries in droves if you allow it. And, a certain amount could be handled. But again, man, if you have an income tax, if you have entitlements, if you have all these things in place, eventually the balance sheet's going to get out of whack. It's just, there's no way around it. It's accounting. It's not me being mean. It's just like if people come here and start, fucking they can't find a job, or they don't have any capital. How used to the hospital stuff to treat them. I mean, it's not good economically. There's no way to fucking spin it.
Right. No, exactly. Gus, what else is on your radar, man?
Dude, the fucking business, politics, sobriety feel fucking great. They won't get me down. No, I think Trump had a speech in Minnesota a couple days ago where it was excellent. He summarized it all. This whole immigration thing, all of it is a distraction. The economy's churning. North Korea was a home run. There's been a series of really good things happening. So the Russia thing is completely a fraud, like 100% guaranteed a bias shit show fraud. So everything's been. Bottom line is he crushed it for like a month straight, 2 weeks straight. They couldn't bear to have the people get it, fucking see it. So they shifted to, let's take fake pictures of babies in cages or whatever. It's like, all right. I mean, it's another fucking.
Wasn't that disgusting? Wasn't that disgusting to take those fake pictures and
well, a couple of them were like from a protest and shit.
yeah, even the time cover too. That the little kid on the time cover wasn't ever taken from his parents either.
Dude, they really are just fucking fake news, dude. It's
Here's
all it's like all a con. Like they're fake news. Like it's a lot of like when like the biggest magazines in the country are like cut and pasting shit and like fucking it's almost hilarious. It's the level of Orwellian, like they really, or I mean Orwell's brilliance, but Plato's Cave also being brilliant. The level of propaganda, their ability to try to objectify their fictional reality that they want to sell to the herd is incredible. Like there is no thing they won't do to try to get they're trying to recreate reality, and they will lie to do it, and they will mislead, and it's incredible. Like I don't know how people work there. No, like like you just brought up the cover. How do you work at that company and be like, yeah, we're gonna put this fake picture up there, and we're gonna fucking, like, what's going through your head at that point? Like we're just lying. Fuck it. Like I mean, it's, and the famous picture that circulated about that little girl behind a cage, and it ended up, it was like a Trump, like they're lying, they're conning like the public, and maybe that's the problem, like the freedom, the fine line between, the press does have incredible power, dude, and it's incredible that they would use it openly. Again, if you're an employee there or you're an owner there, like, what's going through your head? Like, we're just openly gonna lie about this. Fuck it. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, and I think specifically that they know in part the lack of understanding of a lot of the things that we discuss. A lot of other great news outlets discuss the alt news, but I think that they also they take full advantage of the lack of the emotional intelligence of a lot of people, because everything that's so sensationalized, and those are two things. Like when you talk about race and you talk about kids, some of the emotional things, that's where they succeed, and they do it time after time again. Is the lack of emotional intelligence of a good chunk of society. So when you talk about, oh, they're taking away kids from their parents and everything, people get very emotional, a lot of emotional energy with that, Gus. And so they continue to do those things that they know that doesn't require a lot of thought. It's just there. It's on the oldest part of the brain development through human growth is the emotional side of the brain. I can't remember what portion of the brain that is. That's what is survival. That is what's instincts, and it's just something people don't think a lot about. So that's why it resonates with so many people. And they're like, oh yeah, this is wrong, and it just unfortunately, a good chunk of society is so conditioned.
They've run out of arguments. It's are dangling kids the final attempt, like, and they even tried commingling this with fucking the Holocaust and Japanese World War II.
Nazis, yes.
Yeah. I mean, the good news, I think the public's kind of wise to that now. Like, you could only be called a Nazi or Hitler or a racist or a bigot or you can only hear that so many times before you're just like, I'm tuning it out now. I'm done even defending myself. Like, fuck off. So you could, I think that's why Trump won. I think they killed it already, but the kids might be the last ditch effort. Like the children, look at the children. Like, but I did see a poll today, or the headline of a poll at least, where more people, the poll, do they blame the government and Trump, or do they blame the parents? And they blame the parents.
Bingo.
Which that's who I blame too. I mean, it's if I'm trying to do something that I'm not supposed to be doing and I drag my kids into it, then I mean, is it the government's fault or is it my fault? I use the bank robbing example as hyperbole, but it's like, it's the same principle. Like, are they trying to weaponize their children? I mean, it's what the fuck are they thinking? Like, I'm just going to show up without, I don't know if I can get in, but if I have kids, I know you have to green light it. Like, it's like, all right, well, at that point, you're using your children. How good of a person are you? Well, fuck them. It's, again, not I don't get worked. Everything, I got too many other things on the plate to worry about the media's propaganda. It's there. Even when this blows over, which it will soon, they're gonna find something else. They'll
be on the next thing. Yeah, they'll find something else. It'll be summer by then. They'll be worrying about something else. Some other.
It'll be fictional. It'll be fictional as fuck. But they'll find something. I mean, that's why I say, like, finally, I reach my wits end with them, and I'm like, fuck them, just fuck them. Like I have other like, because it's always something. Like the kid's story will go away, and then next week it'll. They're done with Putin now, so maybe they say we made a mistake. Kim Jong-un swung the election. It was North Korea really runs. Who the fuck knows what they're gonna say? It's a new like just it's fucking just feed for the sheep, and it just. But I'm convinced that as much as they say we're stuck in our own echo chamber, you could really spot someone who lives and dies by MSNBC and CNN pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. They reveal their level of brainwashed sheep pretty quickly. And I just choose not to be around those people because they're unbearable. And
yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly right. Yeah, you nailed it. And I'm so glad you said that because it reminds me so much of the fact that, you know what, U.S. politics right now is a complete circus, right? So right now through this time period, stay involved, stay engaged with people who are out there finding solutions, making solutions, helping people's lives be better. People like, Rogue Money, people like yourself with Perpetual Assets, making a difference to help people, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what truly matters. And it's also a great closing for you to plug your website and everything, Gus.
Very, very kind of you. Very kind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Perpetualassets.com. You could search engine it, Perpetual Assets, or just put Perpetual Assets into your URL. And yes, I couldn't agree more. Do not. There's a fine balance. In a perfect world, I would just go and listen to these people for minor amusement, but my personality doesn't allow me to do that. It actually, every time I gravitate to them, I get really angry and upset. I get like irate as fuck just hearing them or reading something they write that's total bullshit. But you're much better served being productive, because there are tons of people out there trying to be productive. So yes, view CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times. You view it as amusement, but don't let it bother you as much as it bothers me.
Well, all that negative energy, we can't be one with the universe, Gus.
Dude, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I go around so pissed all day because I'll see like one wrong headline. I'll be like, these motherfuckers are at it again, and I'll do. Next thing I know, I'm like kicking over rocks in the street for no fucking reason. Bad energy, bro. Bad energy.
All right, Gus, thank you for a great show today. For our fans and listeners, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and we will be back next Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with another Cuss with Gus. Gus, thanks a lot.
My pleasure, brother. Pleasure as always.